Welcome to Elliott's PT podcast. I'm here to help you find your balance and live your best life guilt-free. I don't believe there is a one-size-fits-all approach for health and fitness. We're all different and we need to find out what works for us. I'm passionate about helping people make realistic, long-term lifestyle changes that they will stick to and they will take with them forever. I don't believe in crazy diets or short-term fixes. We all need to live and find a perfect balance in diet and exercise that suits our individual needs. I want to help you find your exercise mojo, feel great and achieve wonderful things. Here is Elliott's PT podcast by Renae Elliott. Hello, and welcome back to Elliott's PT podcast. So today's podcast is a live that we did in part of a workshop. The workshop was our Learn to Balance Your Food workshop, and it was all about how to make food work for you and how to learn to balance it out. So this program, this is one of the lives from there when I kind of was summarizing what we had done in the program, but there is lots of good information in there that I thought would be great to share with the podcast listeners, and especially for those who may have missed the workshop. So keep your eye out because I will be running more of these workshops later on in the year. And it is also an intro to our macro balance program. And that is where we really do teach you how to understand your food and how to make it work for you. So again, just listen to this podcast and make sure you let me know what you think and if you've learned anything from it, because I always love to hear. So we are on our third and final day of Find Your Balance with Food workshop. And with our first day I wanted you to look at what you were eating and to see if what you had was if you could notice if it was balanced or if it wasn't balanced. So I wanted you to actually look at what you're eating. So hopefully you've done that. If not, you can go back and do that again. Our second day, we were then looking at actually trying to understand the food that we're eating by starting to understand read and how to read food labels, and how confusing and misleading food labels can be. And it's really unfair, but the more knowledge that you have around your food and the more that you can understand this stuff, you will be empowered to know that you can make an informed choice on what you're eating. And you don't need to look at the marketing ploys of different companies, that have, obviously the buzzword at the moment is protein. So there's all of that on the top of the packaging, which is going to lead us to buy this. And today we looked at portions, and I gave you some guides as to what the actual portions of food was and how you can look at applying that by using your hand in your food. And the first thing that we want to be obviously putting on first is our protein. So whenever I'm eating a meal or planning a meal out, I'm always thinking, what is my protein source? So hopefully that's given you some real information that you can take with you and you can start applying it to your food. And by just looking, because lots of people, when you put your days, whether you put your days on here or whether you sent them to me, lots of people, it was, in the afternoon or their evening meal before that had a protein source. And trust me, you're not the first one. It's really, really common that's what happens because people just don't tend to prioritize protein. And protein is so important. So if anything, you take anything away from this workshop, I would really like you to start really thinking about how you can prioritize protein. And every meal that you're eating, I want you to think, what is my protein source? Now, protein is what's going to help your muscles repair. It's going to help keep you full. And it's also going to help you build muscle. Now, lots of people talk about wanting to be toned and all of those other things. And, protein is a major, major factor in that. But we need all the nutrients together in combination to get that nice balance. Tonight I asked you, or this afternoon I asked you 2 questions. And if you are watching with me live, let me know if you answered any of those questions. If not, I will go by some answers that I've had previously to those questions. So the first question was losing weight is hard because. So I want you to really think about that, and I want you to think about, is that a question that what would be your answer to that? So before we go into, I'm just pulling up this so I can see people's answers, sorry. So what I want you to think about is, what is your answer after the because? So people might say, I can't lose weight because I've got kids. I can't lose weight because I don't have the time. I can't lose weight because my genetics don't let me. I can't lose weight, so there's I can't lose weight because I can never stick to anything. I can't lose weight because I'm too busy. My work is too busy. So there's all those things. So I want you to think about what is your losing weight is hard because what's that because that you're saying. Now, while I'm asking you this is because I want you to really think about what are you saying because. So when we say, whatever we're saying this because is, it's generally what our belief is. Now, the beliefs aren't always true. The beliefs are something that we've maybe been telling ourselves over time, and and we want to see that these beliefs that we're having, they can be the things that are holding us back. So they're the things that are holding us back from actually really, really achieving it. And when you look at anything that you've tried in the past, it's maybe these things here, that these belief systems that you have, which is going to hold you back. And it's really important to think, and this is something that I really look at addressing, and I address first in my programs, in my macro balance program, in my Little Black Dress program. These are the things that we want to address. We want to know what your belief system is. So if you're believing that you'll never lose weight, you can't lose weight because you don't have time, you can't lose weight because of this, if we don't start addressing, or I can't lose weight because my family, my genetics are just big. I can't lose weight because I've never been a size 12 before, and I could never be a size 12. I've never lose weight because everything I've tried doesn't work for me. So we need to really think about what these beliefs are. And it's really, sometimes it's these beliefs that are the things that are holding you back. And so you are who you are. And no matter where you go, you're always going to take with you. So no matter what you do, so you could chop and change from program to program, but you are still the same person. So what we need to do is we need to remember that we need to look at you and work you out first in order to be able to really get the change. And sometimes when we start working on you first, then the results will just fall into place. If you have the belief system that weight loss will be hard, then that is how it's going to be. If you have the belief system that it's going to be fun and exciting, and then that is how it's going to show up to you. So what you're believing is how it's going to be. And if you were thinking things like, well, when I tried this in the past, it never worked. I've never been successful with anything I've done. So it's never worked for me before, so it's not going to work for me this time. Then of course it's not going to work for you, because you're already starting off saying that you're going to fail. And that's not the way it's going to be. But we need to address these factors first. And this is how my programs and how I work is different, because we look at these things first. Your beliefs are your beliefs, and they're not necessarily the only truth that you can have. Beliefs can be changed. Now, beliefs can be things that we've told ourselves over time. Beliefs can be things that other people have put onto us, and we've taken them on. But all of these things can be changed, and we don't need to, it's not set in stone that this is how life has to be. So the first question, was losing weight is hard because. Now, my second question was I can't lose weight because. So it may be I can't lose weight because I'm in menopause. I can't lose weight because I'm over 60. I can't lose weight because I have kids. I can't lose weight because I don't have enough time. So again, I want you to think about what is your answer after the because again, this is coming into those beliefs and how these beliefs are the things that can really influence, and they're the things that can be really holding us back. Now, when we're coming from this, now I'm using losing weight. And I know not everybody's goal is losing weight. Your goal can be to look at gaining your muscle mass, increasing your energy, looking at feeling better for yourself. So please, when I say losing weight, I just use that as an example because that is what most people are looking for when they come to me. That's the most common thing that people are looking for. But I want you to, when I say losing weight, if that's not your goal, I want you to think, I want to increase my muscle mass. So increasing my muscle mass is hard because. Increasing my muscle mass is, I can't increase my muscle mass because. So I want you to just replace where you're at with those words. So the other thing is that I want you to think about what have you done in the past. So did we try things and we got to a point and then we stopped and then it got too hard and we gave up? You know, what are all those things that you've done in the past and why did they not work for you? And then I really want you to stop and dig deep and really think about, there's a thing called a secondary gain. So every action that we have has a secondary gain. And I find this is sometimes a thing that, again, is stopping you, and it's really important to start to realize it in order to move forward. A secondary gain is generally something that's keeping you safe. So I may have tried different diets in the past and it not work, but I got a secondary gain from that. So my secondary gain could be that I never truly put myself out there properly, because that would mean that I couldn't fail. So maybe instead of saying you tried a diet, maybe you never started. Maybe you never actually tried, because if you actually started and tried, then you're putting yourself out there and you're risking the risk that you might fail. So the secondary gain could be that you don't put yourself out there because you want to keep yourself safe. The secondary gain will keep you in your comfort zone. So other people that we have got through this stuff is that when we've worked through this with them, is maybe that when they were at a lighter weight, they got more attention from people and then they struggled with that. So their secondary gain was to keep them safe because they didn't want that to happen again. So as much as one part of them wanted to lose weight, the other part of them didn't want the reaction that they got from other people when they lost weight. The secondary gain could be people feel like if they lose weight, then that might change their relationship with their friends or their relationship with their partner. And the same thing for gaining muscle or gaining, so then they never truly make those changes because there's that secondary gain. So I want you to think about is are you keeping yourself safe because of a secondary gain? So are you doing that? So I know for me, I've done before, and I've said that I'm so busy with my work. I'm so busy doing all these things again because I then don't launch something new or do something new because I run a risk of it failing, and that's scary. So I'll just say I'm really busy doing all these things and I'm busy sorting it out in the background and doing it all, but then getting to that step of actually putting it out to people, I maybe don't do it. Because if I put it out there to the world, then maybe no one will want it. And that's scary. And so my secondary gain is to keep me safe so then I don't face being rejected. So I just want you to think is with your journey in the past, is there something that you've done Is there things that has maybe stopped you because of that secondary gain? Because of that, what you may be getting back from that. When I find there is kind of 4 type of dieters, and I want you to really think about now, regardless of when you're watching this, because I know we're all on different time zones, and not everything works for people with their lifestyle. But I want you to comment if you think about this later. So there's 4 different types of dieters, and they're going to get very different results. And I want you to think, what's the type of dieter that you've been in the past? So the first one is the yo-yo dieter. So the yo-yo dieter is going to be somebody that follows a generic cookie cutter style diet. You might see results for a little while, but then you're making like really emotional decisions when you're in this diet. So you might be like, I'm going to cut all of this stuff out. So I'm going to eat no carbohydrates, and I'm going to only eat 800 calories. So you're going to do this because this is the fad diet, and I've seen all these people get these results from that. This is the yo-yo diet. So we're going to do this, and then so maybe this person, they may actually see some results for a while, and maybe getting the results isn't their problem, but the problem is maintaining it. So they'll jump from thing to thing because so you might be somebody that's really good during the week, and then you struggle during the weekend, and you might be good for a while, and you might be able to be that strict person for a while, and then you go off track. So then you might be the yo-yo person that goes back and forth between certain diets, or certain extremes, and you might have lost 10 kilos in the past, but then you've put 15 kilos back on. So that's the yo-yo dieter. The second one is the diet hopper. So the diet hopper will be somebody that she follows a generic plan, and so she's might be using some data-driven information, but the problem is that if it's not happening fast enough, she is going to change. So you change to the next one, and we change again, and then we change again because it's not working quick enough for you. And you want to go to something different because you want to make sure that you're getting the result, and the results are not coming to you quick enough. So you're going to hop from diet to diet. So that's the diet hopper. My third one is called the macro dieter. So you might be somebody that has followed your macros before, but you followed the macros, and you have the understanding that you need to follow it, and you need to follow it to a T. So if you don't hit your macros exactly, then that means that you're a failure, and it doesn't work for you. It doesn't work for you because you don't hit those things exactly. So the macro dieter is they're using macros, but they're using it as a diet, where that's not how I intend for you to use macros. I intend for you to use it in a different way, as a tool. But the macro dieter, they feel like they have to get it exact, and if they don't get these things exact, then that means that they have failed and it's not worked, and that ends up something that they again can't stick to. So my last type of person that I'm describing is called the macro scientist, and this is what I want you to all get out of my program and to become from being part of my programs. So the macro scientist is the person that uses all the information. So we take all the data in from all different sources, and we go from feedback from our body. So the macro scientist, it will be someone who can customize her own plan, and she can manipulate her numbers and to know how much protein, fats, and carbs that she needs to use or meet in order to reach her goal. But she can adapt them to suit. It is not the end of the world if you don't reach them exactly, because life is not exact, and that is not what this is about. She listens to her body and adjusts her body and adjusts her goals, her macros and her goals, and what she's doing according to how her body is. And so she adjusts from feedback from her body instead of using emotions. She is confident in her own body, and she's confident, and she has confidence in herself that she knows that she, and trusts herself that she can manage everything herself. So when you can become this macro scientist, you don't need anyone else, because you have yourself. So my goal is for you to be able to have a trust in yourself that you don't need me anymore, that you can follow my program, you get to the end of it and you manage it yourself, because you understand it, you understand what your body needs, and that's all you need. You don't need to be yo-yoing anymore. You don't need to try any other diet. You don't need to lose weight and put it back on. You understand as a macro scientist that you use data. So your data will come from your following your protein, fats and carbs, your macro. So that's one piece of information. We will then also take the other piece of data, which could be your exercise, it could be your measurements, it could be your photos, it could be how you're feeling. We collate all this data together in order to get you the results that you want. And then we stop using just one thing. And so some people just use the scale, and they use that, so they just jump on the scale, and well, that's the only thing that I'm looking at. If that scale doesn't go down, then that means it's not working. But that's not the only, we don't look at only one thing. We look at everything all together, and that's how you become the macro scientist, and you can actually understand stuff and manage this yourself. So that's what that's the 4 types of people that I kind of find, and I want to know which category you think you are, and maybe you could start thinking about which category you'd like to be into. Why do you think there's lots of myths out there, or things that we have heard in the past, and especially about diets? And I want to explain one is to why people believe that like losing weight is all about finding the right diet. And this is not true. And I want to explain to you why. And why diets don't work. So firstly, I want to explain what the word diet means to me, so we're all on the same page. So diet means following rules and lifestyle created by and for someone else that you try to fit into your life. So you're trying to fit these rules that someone else has created. And what works for you might not work for me. What works for me might not work for you. And that's why everything needs to be customized to suit you. So people say to me, Renae, I can give me a meal plan and I'll follow a meal plan to a T. And I don't like to give meal plans out, because when a meal plan ends, you've not learned anything yet. You've followed that meal plan and you've followed it to a T, but you don't know how to manage it outside. But if you take the time to really learn to understand your food, learn how to balance your food out, learn how to understand your macros, and use that as a tool, and use all the other factors as to how to make it work for you, then that's when you're going to, that plan needs to be customized. That's where you're going to achieve the body that you want to achieve. You're going to have the amount of energy you want to have, and you're going to really feel good about yourself, and you're going to have trust in yourself that you can do this, that you do not need anyone else but yourself, because you understand how to manage it, and then you can manage it for life. With this, following a diet and following this like plan that someone else has given us, a cookie cutter plan that is just given to you, and this works, just follow this exactly. They've not taken into consideration anything else, things you've done in the past, where you're at, what your activity level is, your stress levels, your sleep. They've not taken anything else into account. Just follow this meal plan and you'll be fine. And I'm sorry, it does not work, and it will not work long term. And it's like the round peg in a square hole. So you're trying to fit it in, and we're wondering why it doesn't fit. And then we think, so we start to blame the peg. So the peg's not working, and it's the peg that's not working right. And but so we're blaming the peg instead of creating a new hole. And this is what I'm saying. We need to customize it. You have to be able to have a plan that's customized to you and your exact situation. What I don't like about diets and why they don't work is because they come with rules, and we have these rules, and in how you need to, and how we need to abide by them or go by them. So it could be eating no processed food, a clean eating, intermittent fasting, no fat, low carbs, high fat, all of those things. So they have these rules, and then these rules are like if you don't eat, so intermittent fasting, if we don't eat in a certain window, then you're a failure, and then it won't work if you don't do this exactly. And the same with fats. If you don't, if like keto, so no carbohydrates, really, really high fats. If you don't do that, then if you don't get that right, then you're a failure, and it's not right again. And so that they've got all these no sugar, so there's all these rules. And when we have all these rules and restriction upon us, again, it is not something that can work long term or that we can stick to forever. And this is why they don't work. So the same with macros. Now, I love macros, but I hate that people turn it into a diet. So macros is a tool. It's a tool that you can use to understand your body more, and look at the feedback and look what works for you, and understand how to make it work for you. It is not a diet. You don't have to hit these macro points exact, and if you don't hit them, then that means you're a failure. That is not what it's about. It is about learning what your body needs, getting the right macronutrients, and learning from that there is a science, there is an actual science behind it, and then looking at this, and then looking at the science behind it, and then looking at how your body reacts to it, and then adjusting it that way. So when you don't follow the rules that we are given, in diets, then we feel like a failure. And then I know there's some people that say, but I can always follow rules. I'm a good rule follower. I'm a good girl. I can do this. But then what happens when it starts working? So you've been doing everything exact. You've been following the rules exact, and you're doing it all right as you should be, because that's what you do. But then when it stops working, what do you do now? Because you've just followed the rules. You've not actually learned to understand your body and react from the feedback. And inevitably, we're all going to hit a plateau, because we all do. But we want to be able to, when you can understand your body, understand what works for you, and you can adjust it accordingly, then that's how you can keep succeeding, and you can not feel like you're failing. Because what happens if people that, I follow rules exactly and I do it all exact, but then when you don't do it exact, or when you plateau and you're doing it exact, then you think you failed, but you actually haven't. It's just, you just need to learn to understand the feedback from your body. So the real issue isn't the diet, it's that it's not customized to you. And what's effective for me isn't going to be effective for you. The thing with what my plans are, what my programs are, and what I really ask is, I ask people to understand the science. So and understand what is a thing that's going to cause changes in your body, regardless of what your goal is. So changes as in changes in your composition. So the most thing that's based on is calories. So again, it's the actual diet that you're following, it doesn't matter. It's, I guess, the calories in versus calories out. And I'm sure you've all heard that stuff before. But the calories in versus calories out is what's going to cause weight loss or weight gain. But when we start to understand the macronutrients and how that affects our bodies, is when we are going to start to determine where the weight loss is coming from. So whether we're looking for weight loss or weight gain, any of that is the macronutrients are going to affect how that comes. So for me, I weighed 75 kilos. And I lost 5 kilos. So I was down to 70 kilos. But in that process of losing weight, of losing 5 kilos, I lost muscle. So I was better off when I weighed 75 kilos than what I was when I weighed 70. And because I had a bigger muscle mass. The more muscle mass you have, the better. Now, what happened when I did this? I didn't eat. I thought I was eating right, but I wasn't eating enough protein. So in that goal of losing weight, I lost muscle. And the real goal is that when you start to really understand your macronutrients, then you can make sure that you're giving your body the fuel it needs from the right areas, from all the right areas, and you're balancing it out. And so that when we lose weight, we're not losing it from the wrong area. So lots of people, I had somebody, they did a juice fast or something, and a juice diety thing. I think it was 8 or so weeks. And anyway, they scanned at the start. They did a scan with me, and they scanned at the end. And this person had lost however much weight, but they'd lost that in exactly muscle. So that whole, juice thing, they just taken their muscle weight. And to grow your muscle after the age of 30, if you're not actively working on your muscle, where you start to lose it, it's not an easy thing to gain. And muscle is really important. It's important for aging. The more muscle we have, the better. You're higher your metabolism. Your muscle attaches to your bones. It protects your body. And everybody is looking for this toned, lean look. Now, in order to have that, you need to have muscle. And the more muscle, the better. You are never going to become Arnold Schwarzenegger or any of those things unless you start taking drugs. So you don't have to worry about that as a female, but the more muscle, the better. So your calories are going to determine whether you've had weight loss. The calories in versus calorie out is going to determine whether you have weight loss or weight gain. But your macronutrients will determine where the loss comes from or where it is gained from. And so the scale going up and down will be impacted by calories. So you may have seen before and after photos of people that weigh exactly the same, but they look completely different because they have changed their body composition. And that's because they've really nailed down on their macronutrients. And the scale going up and down is really impacted by your macronutrients. And we want to make sure that you are losing fat. So the scale going will determine whether you're losing fat, you're losing water, you're gaining fat, you're losing, so we want to make sure that you are losing fat, you're maintaining your muscle, and, that we're not just losing water in it as well. So macronutrients will help influence your body composition. There is also micronutrients, which is they're essential to our diet in order to promote health, but that's your vitamins and your minerals. Now, I also find that some people, they fixate on certain things. So you might fixate on the time that you're eating. So what I'm saying is everybody is busy. We are all busy in our own way. And we have lots of things that we need to do, lots of things that we need to get through in our lives. We are all busy in our own way, but I'm asking you to not focus on the things that are important. Where I find people, and sometimes this is to keep us safe, they waste their time on some things that aren't really that important and aren't going to make the biggest difference to your body composition. Following your understanding your macronutrients and following them and tweaking them to suit your body is important. And that is like at the top, the biggest component of what you can follow in order to get the result that you're looking for. But, looking at the time that you're eating, how many meals you eat a day, what supplements you're taking, those things are going to make a minuscule difference to you. They're going to make such a little difference that you're wasting your energy on that stuff. Focus on what your protein, fats, and carbs, what they are, and how much of them that you're having in order to fuel your body correctly. So Each macronutrient, so your protein, fats, and carbs, they all play a different role, and they're all vitally as important. So your carbohydrates are your energy source. So that's the thing that your body's going to use first as your first source of energy. And I know lots of people want to cut carbs out, or, but they're really, really important. So we need them, and you need them in the right balance to achieve any of your goals. Your protein is going to help you repair. It is going to help grow your muscle. Your protein is going to be the thing that keeps you full. Your fats are going to help your vitamin absorption. We need a certain amount of fat on our bodies in order to keep us alive. And your fats also help with your brain function. So whatever you have maybe done in the past, or you think about the past, I want you to clear the slate, and we want to start with a fresh mind and forget about anything that we've done. I had somebody telling me the other day that they said that they had tracked their macros before and that they couldn't do it again because it was so restrictive. And that's somebody, again, putting you into that diet. You're very welcome for my tips. Hopefully they're helping. That's again, you going into this dieter mindset. So the macro dieter of thinking that like if you don't track them exact, you're failing, because the idea is that when you can understand these things and you want to hit around the mark, and I can tell you, I'm never exact. Never. I'm exact, but I get round mark. Some days I'm over, some days I'm not, so and that's just how it is. I'm never exact, and that's not what we want. What I feel is important is that you understand what you're eating. You understand what each food does, and then you understand how it works for your body and what works best for you. And then you why I love macro counting is because that it determines, when we understand our macros and we start to follow this, it's going to determine what we lose, where we lose our weight from, and where you maintain it. We want to maintain your muscle. Muscle is so important, and we want to lose it for fat. It really upsets me when I see people that have done, say, shake diets, and you see them, and they may have lost however however much weight and all of those things, but you can see they've lost muscle too, and muscle is so important. Why else I love macro counting is because it helps you to keep your food choices balanced. So each, we understand that each macronutrient plays a different role in our body, and it gives us something different. And you're getting that nice balance. We talked earlier about having a plate, and how when I put my plate of food out, I'm always thinking about the different colors on my plate, because I know that's giving me something different. I think about when I pack my kids' lunch boxes and all those other things. The third thing that I love about macronutrients is it takes away the good and the bad of food. So there's no right or wrong. Food is food. And you know what? I love ice cream. I love chocolate, and I'm going to have those things. I'm going to have a glass of wine, and I'm going to make them work in my diet, in my lifestyle, because that I'm not going to live without those things, because I don't want to. And this is how you need to make it work for you, and how that being restrictive or being the yo-yo or jumping from thing to thing, that it's that's why that stuff doesn't work. But when you take the good and the bad out of things, and we understand what our bodies needs, that we need protein, we also need carbs, and we need fats, and there's no good or bad. It's just looking at balancing it out, and getting closer in to different numbers in order to reach whatever goal we are. The fourth thing is why I like macros, and why anything that you do, it needs to be sustainable, and it needs to be enjoyable. So anything that, some people have the thing, well, I can either be fat and happy or skinny and miserable. That's not life. We shouldn't feel like we can't go out socially, that we can't do things, and understanding your macros and understanding how your food works for you is how you can make it work for your life. So I go out for lunch, for dinner, and I don't feel guilty. I eat my food, and I don't think like, oh my God, I can't eat this, or I don't think I should have eaten this and then I feel guilty for it after. None of those things. I eat my food, I enjoy it, I enjoy my time out, and move on. And that's how I want everyone to be. No guilt, none of those things, because it shouldn't be like that. And when things are enjoyable and sustainable, you'll stick to it. You won't want to just do it for a little while and feel that you need to try harder for it to work, because it would just become your lifestyle. It would become the norm, and that's why you'll get the results, the long-lasting results that you want to, and there'll be something that you can stick to forever. Common things I hear from people once I've taught them how to understand their macros and how to make it work them. I can't believe I can eat this food. I can't believe I can eat this much and still lose weight. I can't believe that I have so much more energy. I can't believe that what I was surviving on, that maybe they were surviving on coffee, and how much more things they can do, how much more, when we really start to you really start to get your nutrients right, you'll be amazed how much your workouts change. When you're fueled properly for your workout, you'll be able to do so much more, and that's so empowering. Such a great feeling. So the most important thing is that macro counting is a tool, and it's a tool that you can use. And if you've in the past you've set your macros and then you've felt frustrated because that you've not hit them, and then you've not hit them and you've not done it right, then you're going back to that macro dieter and you're turning it into a dieter. And we don't want that mentality at all. We want you to think that that this is a tool and you want to use it to your best advantage. You want to understand it, but it is not the be all and end all. Hopefully you can take away from this that you've learned more about your food, and you've learned more that there is ways that unfortunately people are setting you up to fail. They're setting you up with things that they're setting you up with things that aren't going to work for you long term, and it might work for a short term, but the long term isn't. And again, sometimes people are holding things back because they get a gain from that. But my goal for everybody is that they don't need me anymore. My goal is for you to understand it so you don't need me, and that you can then follow this stuff on your own, and you can manage it on your own, because that is empowering. And that is how I want everybody to be able to go through their life. And this is why I have developed my macro balance program, because I want people to be able to do this themselves. I want them to know that they can make their choices. They don't need to follow anybody else. They understand their food. They understand it all. They can make their own informed choices, and they can get the results they want, and they can adapt it. I adapt my macros. I adapt my how I'm eating as to, if I'm wanting to achieve different things. And the more understanding you have, you can do that yourself too. So on Friday will be my the macro balance program will open, and you guys are the first ones to know about it opening on Friday. So we'll be opening on Friday, and it will be only available for 5 days. So make sure that it is something that you get onto quickly, because there are limited spots, because we want to really make sure that we can take the people in and we can really help you and understand where you're at, and that we're giving you all the information that you need. So I will post a link below. You need to join the wait list. And so if you're on the wait list, then you'll be the first to know when the program officially is open. And this is the first time that I am running this exact program. I have done this in lots of other ways, but some people kept asking me put it together. So that's why I put it together all in a program, so we can focus just on this one aspect of understanding your macros, because I think sometimes when you get this thing right, then everything else falls into place. As I said, for me, I first started understanding my macros because I wanted to be able to breastfeed my baby and make sure that I was giving her the right nutrients. I wanted to also lose the baby weight, and but I knew that I was never going to restrict my food. I was never going to go a day without chocolate because I really like it, and it was really important to fuel my body correctly, and that's how I started to understand it. And it's so amazing when you have that understanding, and then you can then put that stuff into practice for your own bodies. So make sure you make sure that if you have any questions, you ask me. Like I said, the first things that we deal with first is understanding what your beliefs are and what you've maybe done in the past, and how we want to look at you first. And look at these things and not change you, but change some of those beliefs, because it's those things that are generally holding you back. And if we keep, what's the thing of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. And as part of the program, there is 4 phases. So you need to see where you're at first. So I need you to see where your food's at. How much are you eating a day? So again, people can come to you and just go, oh, we'll just reach, you may have done things previously, and they might say, oh, just hit this, hit these counts per day, hit these, and they'll give you the numbers, and then you just have to hit them. Again, that's turning it into a diet. But what I do is I ask you questions, and I look at where you have been before, what you've done previously, and I look at what your current food habits are. So sometimes, most of the time, actually, a lot of the times, most people are under eating, and the people that sent me their food, and that most of you were in that category of under eating, and it's really, really hard to change that view set of getting in from that 800 calorie or 1200 calorie in order to lose weight. But wouldn't it be amazing if you can eat like 2000 calories a day? And, my maintenance calories is 2,400. It's good, isn't it good that you could eat that amount of food a day and not put weight on, and feel amazing, and, have lots of energy and all of those things. And that's why, as part of the phases, so again, it just depends on what your goal and what you're looking for. The first, and everyone's different, so then you'll get the customized plan sent to you, and then we work with you each week. So the program goes for 12 weeks. We work with you each week in order to check in, see where you're at, give you feedback, on where you're at. Again, 4 phases are, so there's a thing called a reverse diet. So the reverse diet is where you may be in that category of under eating. So we would need to build your calories back up to a maintenance level in order to lose weight. So if you are someone that has been dieting for a long time, you have been, sitting on very, very low calories, your body would start to shut down. So your body will start to turn things off in order to survive on those little calories. But what we want to do is we want to build you up in order to eat, so then you can eat the proper amount of calories that you should be using. My body needs 1,900 calories. So I do have a high amount of muscle, but my body needs 1,900 calories if I to function optimally, if I laid down all day and didn't move out of my bed. So that's not including walking, doing just normal daily chores, let alone adding in exercise. So do you see how lots of you are actually really, really under eating? So that's the reverse. So we slowly get you up to maintenance. So the idea would be that you would get up to a maintenance amount of calories without putting on weight. So we would be monitoring that every week. You would get up to that maintenance level of calories, then we maintain that. So then you can then be eating more food than probably what you've ever thought you could eat, and you will not put on any weight, but you'll have so much more energy. And then we would then, if you had a weight loss goal, we would then put you into a cut. So you would then go into a cutting phase. But because your body has, your metabolism started working again, you've been able to get yourself up to that level of the proper maintenance that we all should be at, which these other diets do not take all this stuff into consideration. When we get to that level, you then can cut, and we cut back your calories, not to 1,200, not to 1,500, none of those things. We cut it back. Again, it's all customized. It depends on where you're at. You would then cut that back, and then that's when you prioritize your protein, so we are not going to lose your muscle, and then that's how we lose fat. So that's one example of a phase. If you had a goal of increasing your muscle mass, we would need to get you back up to that maintenance amount of weight. We would also need to understand that in order to gain muscle, you need to eat in a surplus. So we would get up to that maintenance level, maintain there, eat in a surplus. Obviously, if you are looking to gain muscle mass, you need to have a tailored exercise program that you would be following in order to get that result as well. You would then be up in there, and then you would be able to grow your muscle that way. If you are someone that is just looking to increase your energy and that type of thing, we would then look at what's your maintenance calories, getting you up to there, and finding a balance that really works with your body. So that's why it's really important, because everything is customized. Looking at, what works for you, where you're at, how do you feel from this? We can't go from 0 to 100. We need to slowly get you back up to there. And that's why there's different phases, and it's different according to everybody and for what works for them. So that gives you a little bit of an idea of how the program works. So there's those phases. You have to check in with us every week. So you have a sheet that you need to fill out. We look at how you're feeling, what worked, what didn't work, and then we give you feedback on that, and we adjust it. But the whole process, as you're going along, you're learning how to manage it yourself. You're learning to recognize things within yourself. That's why I asked you questions at the start. How much vegetables were in your food? How much protein? When did you first eat protein in your day? Because the more that you can understand, the more that you can manage it yourself. And at the end of the 12-week program, you will have enough knowledge that you will be able to, and you'll know where you're at. You'll know where you want to go from there onwards, and you can manage it yourself. So that's the idea. As I said, my goal is that you have that understanding that you don't need me anymore, because then you can carry it with you for life, and there's no more yo-yoing, there's no more losing weight and putting it back on. You have the understanding and the knowledge, and you're empowered, and that you can eat the food you want, and you can be the size and the shape that you want and feel good about your body. The thing is that to also understand that any weight loss, any muscle gain is not something that happens overnight. Any programs that you may have done before that had those quick fixes, they generally don't last long term. So it's important to understand that I don't want you to have a quick fix. I want it to come off slowly, and that's the way that you will keep it off forever. Thanks for listening to the Elliott's PT podcast. I hope you have been able to find this information of use to you. If you know someone who might enjoy this podcast, please share it with them, and ensure that you subscribe so you can be the first to know when new podcasts are released. If you have the time to leave a 5-star review, that would be amazing, and it would be greatly appreciated. If you do so, please screenshot and share onto any of our socials and tag us. Then email the screenshot to hello@elliotspt.com, and we will send you a free gift to your inbox. Thanks so much. Have an amazing day. Speak soon.